Good evening, everybody. I'm just trying to put all my stuff on silence so everybody leaves me alone. So how are we doing this evening? Oh, I couldn't get it out. So we are closing our very busy Wednesday with E Lubanko, and they will be presenting at Witch City Tarot Gathering, and it will be fantastic. I'm so excited. So here we go. Let's get them added. All right. I hope everybody's having a great evening. I'm so excited. We're just a few weeks away. We have tightening everything up right now. So it is so exciting. Hey, how are you?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you wonderfully.
Wonderful. Hi.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. Finishing up the work day and really enjoying the sunshine coming in. I'll tell you what. How about you?
Yes. Same. It was a little rainy the last few days, so we did get some sun today. So it was wonderful. And, I had to make sure to go outside and just take a minute.
Yeah, I look forward to that later tonight.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we are super excited to have you coming out for Witch City, and you will be presenting. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do? And I know you have this little tarot deck floating around, so maybe tell us about that.
I'm an artist, a tarot artist. So let me see, let me contextualize this a little bit. I've been reading tarot for over 20 years, which is insane to say.
I know, when you add it all together, it's like, whoa, okay, just for a few minutes.
Yeah. Sometimes I just sit there and I'm like, I've been doing this longer than some people in my classes have been around, which is super normal and crazy.
Right, I know.
But yeah, so let me see. I actually think I have a deck near me now. Yes. So I am the creator of the Banco Tarot. Of course, that's first. It's mirror visioned on here. But yeah, I worked on this deck for a number of years. I did all the paintings and the illustrations. I wrote the book. I started it from scratch and did all of the everything basically that an indie artist does to make that happen. In terms of what kind of artist I am, I would say it's a very high intensity, high emotion, high color deck. The way that I describe it on the box is exploring the surreal, intense, and queer and divine. And that's really meant to kind of be a direct contact experience with the whole range of the human experience, including some of the things that, including things like fear and grief and despair, incorporating beauty within that experience, because that is life.
Yes, that is the human experience.
We all are in it. So yeah.
That's awesome. No, and it's a beautiful deck. I do have it as well. It's sitting over on my shelf. So I am, I'm super excited too to hear your presentation. So why don't you tell everybody what it's going to be about? Give us a little golden nugget about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to be teaching making a tarot deck, mythos, and it's basically about how to make a tarot deck from scratch that is both true to your heart and also gets finished, which are very difficult things. Talking about different questions that people might ask themselves throughout this process to kind of help them figure out how to make the deck that's right for them. I'm also going to talk about my process, how I put it together, all the way from early stage ideation when I was a kid, kind of thinking about I want to make a deck. What does that look like? To doing things like choosing paper samples and choosing printers and distribution, which is a whole it's a whole spectrum of activity there. So I'm going to try to cover a little bit of everything. And I hope to answer people's questions too. So if you've ever wanted to make a tarot deck, and you have questions for me or about my deck in general, I'm there to answer those too.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm actually in the process of creating 2 tarot decks. One's going to be an indie deck, and I'm about 3/4 of the way through. So I'm excited to listen in on your chat because it's, and it's definitely a process. And I don't think people quite understand that process.
Yeah, it's definitely, first of all, congratulations on decks from one deck maker to another. I know
Thank
how
you.
the whole gauntlet. But yes, it is a gauntlet. And, I think there are a lot of ways to make art, right? And there are a lot of ways to get things out into the world. And a lot of questions that we have to ask ourselves as artists is how hard am I going to go? And how raw am I going to go? Because tarot is often about examining metaphors that can be very intense. You know, love and grief and death, right? Like everybody has different ways of experiencing those things.
Mm-hmm.
About how you personally want to represent your metaphorical expression of that thing can often be a very psychologically intense experience. And
Mm.
how, okay, like, how do I express this in a way that other people will read this is also, its own process. So I will definitely be touching on that. I think like I have done a lot of work in a lot of writing and journaling and everything. So that definitely lends to it. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that. And it is, and you don't realize until you really get into like the nitty gritty of it, like what that experience is and what it brings out in you. And even with creating my own deck and then realizing that sometimes the things in your head are quite interesting. And then you have to like make it make sense for everybody else.
Well, and that's the question too, is like, asking yourself the question, how direct do I want my communication to be? Am I, making this for myself with the off chance that if someone comes along, that's great? Am I making this as like a direct tool? Deciding how loud you want to scream and whether that will scare people away. Like I definitely have an intensity that's maybe not for everyone in certain ways, but it also is like the most kind of true expression of how I experience the world, for better. So that in itself is a decision, to kind of lean into that. And everybody has different decisions they have to make when they're making something that's going to be used by anyone other than themselves.
Right, right. So would you suggest for people coming to your talk to just bring some questions with them about deck creation and stuff like that? Is that, you're going to answer questions you said, so that would probably be a good idea, right?
You can come with no questions at all. You can come with curiosity. You can come with a list. Like I'm really open to anywhere from beginner, what is a tarot deck, to I've been reading for 30 years and I've made 7 decks. Like, what are your thoughts on this like intense media? I'm happy to answer kind of either. The main thing is, bring your humanity and we'll talk. That's good.
Right. There you go. I know. And I do love that too, because just you mentioning like a new reader and to even a reader who's made a ton of decks. And that's something that's so important to me as a tarot reader, because I've been reading, as long as you have. And it's just being open to everybody else's ideas and their perspectives. And I think that just really makes it like that more rich and more deep. And then there's meanings to cards that somebody might bring up that you never thought of before. But then you might be reading for somebody or journaling and you're like, oh, wait, this person said this. And it really kind of aligns with where I'm at right now. So I think that's so important. And I love that you mentioned that. That was good. That
Yeah.
was good.
It's the people who are doing like tarot is about the people present, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
playing my words. But it's about who's looking at, it's like art, right? Like the artist makes a thing and then you interpret it, and there's always like, sometimes there's a chasm and sometimes there's a more direct communication. And I think understanding what that connection can be and sometimes what that separation can be, makes
Mm-hmm.
all the more richer. I mean, I made this tool with the understanding that some people are going to look at this imagery and get something completely different from what I intended, and that's great.
Yeah.
Uh, that we're all different human beings coming from a different spot and kind of coming together to discuss metaphor and imagery in a way that it hits us. So
Right. No, and I love that too. And one thing too, I know even with my deck is just making sure it's inclusive. And it's kind of stressful because you feel like you're gonna leave someone out. Like I keep like trying to like make sure I'm like, okay, I have this, I have this, I have this, I have this, and I keep kind of going along. And I am working with an artist, so she's really good too at picking up some things. But that's something I know that's really important to me. I want to make sure that is represented in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way that I think about, inclusivity is I everyone is invited to my table, right? Kind of think of it as like I'm throwing a potluck or a dinner party. I'm going to do my best to accommodate everyone there. Everyone is invited to my table. At
Mm-hmm.
Today, I am from a small swamp town in New England. My world I invite anyone in, and I'm always trying to learn. Inevitably, I will miss something. I'm a small, kind of fallible person in this larger world, and there are just things that I can't possibly. I can't be omnipotent, so I won't try. But what I
Right.
is, extend a hand to people and be like, hey, you are invited. You are explicitly invited. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Engage with this together. The table is open to you. And that's, I feel like the best. I can never promise. I'm not going to promise everything because that would be insane, but I am going
Right.
to fight.
No, I love that. That's awesome. So why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on the internet?
Yeah. So my all my social media is just my full name, Emily Lubanko
Mhm.
Lubanko. So it'll be Emily Lubanko on Twitter, Emily Lubanko on Instagram, and emilylubanko.com at my website. I'm very straightforward. I just
Yeah.
like, here I am, here's my name. Um, so yeah, that's basically where you'll find me. I've been quieter on Instagram lately, or just on social media lately, because I've been head down projects that I kind of like can't quite talk about yet, but I hope to
Right.
soon.
Ooh, exciting.
Here's hoping. We hope. Um,
That's all we can do.
but yeah, that's I'm pretty straightforward. It's just look for my name, you'll find me, or if you look for it, you'll probably find it too.
I think so. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Yeah,
And I'll let you go do your thing. And I'm excited to meet you in just a couple weeks. It's going to
yeah,
be awesome.
it's gonna be great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to meet you and everyone. And yeah, happy Wednesday.
Yeah, let's do this thing. All right. You have a great night. Bye. Thanks everyone for stopping by.